Hello everyone. So, in order to answer Iskar Jarak's request for the Malazan Reader Tag, let's start with the first question. How did you find out about Malazan? I had been suggested an online library from a friend and a colleague, and I went straight to the fantasy section. I knew I wanted fantasy, and there the word is 10 books looking different, looking big. I was looking for a big series. So I bought them all 10 without even knowing what they were about. I usually prefer to not know anything about my books, anything about the writer. It's supposed to be a complete surprise. Whether I like it or not remains to be seen. So I went for the first book, and it was love at first sight. So that's how it happened. The second question, describe your experience reading it for the first time. Oh well, pure magic, I would say. Uh, I loved that it was complex. I loved that it kept me waiting. I loved that it was different. It was really, really different, and for some reason, everything clicked into place for me. I think I like the style of writing like short stories where everything, almost every second, third sentence has an important clue. I think it matches my style of reading, my way of thinking. So it clicked for me and I liked it. Third question, when did you realize this series was going to be an all-time favorite? I think that was with Gardens of the Moon, the possession scene. One detail I liked a lot, it's insignificant in the grand scheme of things, when Riga meets the fisher girl and she spits for the first time, and I'm thinking, that's a weird thing to do, must be some sort of curse, some sort of, cultural thing. And then at some point she spits a second time, and then she spits a third time, and I'm thinking there has to be something about the spitting, it can't just be there. And then after the possession, the newly possessed sorry spits again, and that was when I knew that there's something more to it, that Riga hadn't just disappeared. And that was it for me. That was when I knew that this series was going to be really something. Fifth question, nothing is truly perfect. Share a little gripe you have with Malazan. Uh, I think it is perfect. That being based on a very specific definition of perfection. When I was a teenager, I read in some sort of magazine that an article something about the perfect partner and how chasing the perfect partner is a waste of time because such a partner does not exist. And they were saying that the perfect partner does exist provided it's the kind of person with whose flaws you can live with or whose flaws you love. So from that point of view, I would say that for me, the Malazan series is absolutely perfect. Whatever flaws it has, they fit right with me. If I really, really had to choose something, I would say the fact that there are uh, certain inconsistencies with the story, with the plot, with minor things that don't affect the story, but that would be it. In essence, not a thing that actually bothers me. Uh, Sixth question, what are your favorite and least favorite installments? Again, always thought of the series as one seriously big book, as if each book is a chapter in itself. So to say that I have a favorite one, that's a little difficult. Dead House Gates I loved, despite the fact that magic is my favorite aspect and Dead House Gates doesn't have as much of it. There was something about the chain of dogs, and of course the Icarium story. Other than that, I think, of course, Memories of Ice and Midnight Tides and House of Chains, The Bone Hunters and The Cripple God are among my favorites. I do not have least favorites, but I think the Bosch Lane and the Corbel Broach novels, that would be the what I would call my least favorite installments, except for Crackpot Trail. That one is superb. Uh, how many times have you read the series? Altogether, just once. Then I restarted the series on my own. I made it to the beginning of Tall the Hounds, and then my husband got started on it, and I restarted it with him. We made it again all the way to Tall the Hounds, and then I reread Gardens of the Moon again recently for the purpose of the interview. So altogether, just once. Besides the 10, what other series of the Malazan world have you read? I have read them all, except for the handwritten novella, which is still waiting for its turn. But other than that, I read them all, including the Esselman books. What are your reading interests beyond Malazan? Fantasy. There is too much fantasy written for one person to read it all, and I think this is it. Recently, I've read one of Sarah J. Maas's books. I was pleasantly surprised by it, even if it's very different from Malazan. And the last question, what advice would you give a first-time reader? The same one I've always given. It's almost like a mantra by now. Trust Erickson to lead. Just follow, he knows what he's doing. The books are difficult, they are complicated, and sometimes they get hard. Sometimes you feel like you're stuck. Sometimes there are aspects that are maybe less pleasant. I know I struggled with the snake. It paid off, but before getting there, I struggled with it. So that would be my advice. Have patience. What you need to know will be revealed when you need to know it. Don't get angry because it doesn't make sense. It's supposed to not make sense for a while. And just trust Erickson to know what he's doing. And I think I missed one. What is your favorite aspect of the series? Yeah, that's the one I missed. The complexity. The complexity of plot, the seriously complex number of characters, the complex number of topics they approach. For example, Erickson's approach to divinity, which is really different. So, complexity, I was saying, the bonds of friendship, the brotherhood, even a romance. I remember thinking at some point that there's no romance in the books, and then I thought about it, and it actually is. And I love Erickson's approach to sexuality, which is basically as missing as the romance, yet presence. There's something natural about it. It's there, but not in your face. He has a natural way of approaching it, and let's see what else in terms of complexity. I like his the way he puts real world aspects into relevance by exploring his fantasy world, leather being one of the things. So yeah, the complexity would be the one thing I like the most. So that being said, I have managed to take this till the end, and thank you for listening.